Colin Powell, the Tiger Woods of American politics. I remember back in the 90s, he was considered a viable presidential candidate. He turned it down, but everybody was so impressed with Colin Powell. I mean, he spoke so eloquently. If you've ever seen the movie Undercover Brother, the general that Billy D. Williams plays, yes, based off of Colin Powell. Yeah, so, hey, people of color have such a hard time in America, right? Let's press play.
It is my great pleasure to bring in Colin Powell, the former Secretary of State, former National Security Advisor, who served 35 years in the U.S. Army and retired as a 4-star general.
My goodness.
Secretary Powell, and never knows whether to say General Powell, Secretary Powell, Your Excellency.
I mean, all of the titles and the designations, just so much respect. So, Your Highness, my goodness. Question: where are the weapons of mass destruction?
Let's see. Let me ask you. Let me ask you: is this a moment for accountability, or is this a moment for healing? Because the two can't really happen simultaneously.
Now, clearly, they're talking about what took place on the 6th, but I, once again, have to ask, where are the weapons of mass destruction? See, Colin Powell was the guy that went before the Senate and went before the Congress after the 9/11 attacks and showed all these pictures about how Saddam Hussein had all these WMDs and we got to go in there and tear them up and tear them out. But I'm still curious. I'm still waiting on any conversation about that. But no. It's all about what happened, what took place on the 6th. Ooh, boogeyman, so scary.
This is a moment for accountability, to place blame on people who have done things that are wrong. And at the same time, I think it is something for accountability, because there are a lot of people who did not demonstrate that they were using the accountability they had. But I have no...
What the fuck kind of word salad was that? Well, you said it's about accountability because people weren't demonstrating accountability that the people had. Bro, seriously, as I've done consistently on this channel, show me the quote, because I know where he's going with this, right? We all know where he's going with this whole TDS, Trump, Orange Man Bad, all that fun stuff. Just show me the quote that would elicit, that you could call, that you would take before a judge and say, yes, this is incitement. By all means, I'm still waiting for it.
Fear for our country. We'll come out of this. We now have 3 bodies that are all in the same party. We have a guy who's going to be the president of the United States, who I've known for many, many years,
and that is not reassuring, Colin Powell. None of this is reassuring, because you're the same dude that lied us into war in Iraq. So, once again, but they're trying to wash over it now because we don't live on the same planet.
A completely different rationale to what a president does, and so we'll come out of this okay. But we've got to get Mr. Trump clearly out of this entirely. He's got to be gone.
Why? He's an American citizen. I mean, exactly what's the problem? What has he done that's been oh so terrible on this channel for the past 2 years? He's done things I liked, done things I didn't like. When he did things I didn't like, I pointed it out. When he did things I liked, I pointed it out. And that's really how you have to approach anybody. Because people are different, right? Like I would love for each and every sub that I have to go and, sign up for the membership, come to the Patreon and everything else like that. But if you don't come, I'm not going to sit here and chastise you for it or think less of you for it because you didn't do something that I wanted you to do, or you weren't the person that I wanted you to be. All you can be is that person that you are. And the person that, President Trump is an American citizen. So sitting here talking about, oh yeah, we got to get him completely out of here, when in reality, HBCUs, like the funding has been really well, and he's just thrown money at everything. Sort of like I predicted, but ultimately, his interests were in the we had America first mindset and tint to them. Whereas what's being proposed, what's always been proposed by the other side, or, saying like, Biden and Harris's, this whole, yeah, well, America's for everybody and we could just let, we don't need manufacturing. By all means, China, you could take manufacturing. Our families don't need those jobs, that type of stuff. And, Barack Obama with, you can't wave a magic wand and stuff like that. Like, hard pass, family. Hard pass. But for some strange reason, Trump was the problem. When people saw about an average of $6,500 increase in their salaries and what they were making per year, this is on average, it's kind of hard to turn me against somebody who was at least seemingly on the right path. All right, perfect? No, but on the right path and caring about the average American, the regular folks. I mean, it really is night and day.
One way or the other by next week. And the sooner the better, whether it is just a relief he takes for himself, or it's a impeachment, or just leave, resign, retire. And so he's going to be gone. And then we will start again. The big challenge we're going to have is how do we convince all of our citizens, and not just...
that's going to be a gigantic challenge, because a lot of us have eyes. Colonel Powell, General Colin Powell. Is it General? Either ways, we have eyes. We paid attention. We saw what took place over the past few years. And to sit here and be like, oh, well, like 78 million people. Like, come on, man. Come on.
Those of us who, might be called progressive, how do we convince all of our citizens that we have to start changing our society again? We cannot have people that are running around with guns the way they run around now.
Bro, there are more guns than people in this country, and the fact that, you really want to dictate to people, like, that's the thing that really irritates me about their side. So he's sitting here like, oh, us as progressives, because the title of this video is Colonel Powell, why he's no longer a Republican, along those lines. The deal is that, the freedoms are a thing. Right? I mean, I trust my audience to be adults and to come into the comment section and have adult conversations, because that's really what this channel is about looking at things from a perspective, from at least my perspective as somebody who's an American citizen, been so for going on 40 years now, and witnessed, what's transpired, and really have a few ideas as to how things can get back on track. But seeing those who have been in power my entire life just completely blinded and completely pushing these narratives and these ideas and these very harmful policies that do nothing, that will only exacerbate problems and not fix them.
In one of the state houses, a whole line of guys with machine guns. Why are they allowed to do that? Why is that acceptable?
2A Constitution. I mean, that's the thing. The same rules apply to you. If you want to go over there and do it, then by all means, go over there and do it. If you want to stand across from them and say, hey, I don't think that you should be doing that, by all means, wag your finger, knock yourself out. But in the United States of America, freedom when I was a kid in the 80s was a focus. Like, yeah, we're all about freedoms and going about and living your life and not having so much government intervention. But that has, over the past, over my lifetime, has changed so much to a point where this gentleman who was once a Republican is now sitting here talking about how he's a progressive and we need to take everybody's guns and all this other stuff. And it's like, bro, I'm not okay with that. I'm okay. I'm not okay with the government or with the state dictating for people what they should and shouldn't be doing.
Also seen some things from the very beginning of the Trump administration that convinced me that this is not the kind of guy for me. And that was when he launched his tirade against Mr. Obama, who he said was born in another country.
Hey, that's the thing. It's an opinion, and everyone's free to have those, right? He wasn't there. You weren't there. None of us was there. I mean, shoot. Like, maybe you, Mr. Powell, was like, it's so what? Who cares? Who gives a shit? The deal is that as a man, right? I like to think that the focus should be on the job, not your fifis. What type of job did he do? What kind of economy did we have? How many jobs was he able to bring back and put into the United States, including a ton of work in Puerto Rico with drug manufacturing, which is fantastic for Puerto Rico, and goes to show exactly the track that this nation should have been on, having a little bit more compromise and making sure that the American citizens and the American people get some bang for their buck when it comes to have the billions upon billions that are sent to other countries every year. So yeah, okay, you didn't choose them. And ultimately we never get to choose who, the president is. None of us get to sit down with them and push them on out, but we have to separate our feelings from our logic. And the logic is, what kind of job did he do?
He wasn't born in another country. It was obvious. It was provable. But it took us some...
They produced a birth certificate. I can go to... that's not a particularly hard thing to do. Let's be real.
I think it was a year and a half or 2 years before Trump finally agreed to it. Why? Because he was using it. He was using it as a way of saying, this guy's a black guy, so let's keep talking.
But that's the thing. That it didn't particularly work because the man was the man was elected for two terms. So what Barack Obama's election was supposed to represent the fact that, hey, it doesn't matter, your skin color really doesn't matter, just do a good job, which Barack Obama didn't do. President Trump felt that way, and so thusly he felt like he could do a better job, and by all technical means, from the perspective of the average American working class citizen, he did objectively a better job. But my goodness, that might actually get me kicked off the platform.
Against him. And we've got to change all of that. We've got to get back on a track where Americans feel strongly about our society. We are all democracies, small.
But here's the thing, and it's something I think we're done here. But one of the things, here's the thing, right? Some Americans were feeling great about the democracy. 78 million of them were feeling great about the democracy until your quote unquote 81 million said otherwise. And one of the most important things that, we've always as a nation been able to do is, just, all right, bet, good game, I'll get you next time. But that seems to be slipping away by the moment. And Colin Powell over here isn't helping. None of it does. Because all you're doing as you do this, sir, is you're fomenting fear. You're sitting there with the TDS and you're still pumping it on out. Like, oh my goodness, he was so terrible because of a few things he said so long ago. Who gives a shit? Well, apparently big tech does. Anyways, guys, with that being said, we're going to bring this one to an end. All the internet stuff. If you liked it, toss it a like, dislike, go ahead, do that too. Nobody's scared of you. Sub if you enjoy my fantastic voice and want to get videos like this every single day. Share because sharing is caring. And YouTube and Bitchute and like are the biggest fans of your boy over here for very obvious reasons. Bang the bell for notifications. Get something from Teespring. Check me out on Patreon as well. Links in the description. Bang the join button on YouTube and speak. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. See, that phone call threw me off. The weapons of mass destruction. There's no accountability on that, and that was way worse than anything that Trump said, right? You were the one. You had all the clout to convince the American people that, or at least the senators and the congressmen and the elected elites, that the Afghanistan war and Iraq was a great idea. So honestly, your opinion on these things, and if you sit here talking about Trump and you sent thousands upon thousands of citizens to die, which is worse? Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Until the next one.